Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that you're doing well. Apologize for yesterday, the some equipment issues. So if there's any internet issues, unfortunately, affects our broadcast. But I hope that you continued your meditation practice. As I stated before, it's very important to have consistency at the same time. If you happen to not practice, make sure that you continue the same day. The next day at the same time. Be easy on yourself. So therefore, I understand people want to practice with me. So I do apologize for the broadcast issue, but it's very important that you keep the same time if possible. So I continue to sit. So if the equipment has an issue, that's not my priority. My priority is my sitting and my practice. So therefore, I hope you understand that. Okay. So let's go ahead and become aware of ourselves here. Let's do a little bit of stretching in case we're stiff in the evening. Shoulders backward to our head, forward and backwards. Again, using the weight. Good. And then we're going to go towards our angle here. Other side, right side. Okay, and then we'll go in a circle with our body, allowing it to swivel on our head again, having that relaxation to let it go naturally with its natural weight is the challenging part. Opposite way. And let us lift up our shoulders to our ears, tense and relax. One more time. And relax. Good. Let us go ahead and check in through our awareness to our body. Take a look at our mind, state of mind, our breathing, our body. Just simply being aware of its state, perhaps how you're feeling, if you're feeling good, if you're not, if there's some stiffness. Try to focus on that, relax. But don't judge things. Just think, just be aware of it. Make sure your posture is good, that you have all 3 points, your stable base. This seat is called asana. Many people think about the physical forms of asana, the movements that they see in yoga, but asana just means seat. So this is our actual asana, our seat. Let us start with 3 pranayama breaths. So we'll breathe in for the count of 3, hold for 5, and exhale through our mouth through 7. So let us begin. Breathe in, hold, exhale. Next round 2. Hold, exhale. Last round, breathe in, hold, Exhale. Excellent. Next, take your posture, sitting straight up, shoulders under the ears, hands in Hokkaidoing close to the body. Let's tuck in our head, our chin, closing our teeth gently, putting our tongue at the roof of our mouth, closing our eyes just enough to keep the light out. And now we're going to engage in regulated breathing, in which we close our mouth. We begin breathing in through our nose and exhaling. With the exhalation, we use the mantra Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as our focal point. And as we breathe in, we simply breathe in those characters and observe. Okay, so we're stopping and seeing. Shamatha Vipassana. Okay, so with that, with the sound of the bell, let us begin our meditation and allow ourselves to go into concentration. So we hear the bell, let us release our concentration, come back to awareness of our body. Let us sit for a moment and simply observe our mind, breathing, and body. As we do that, let us bring more attention back to our body. Let us release our hands, start to move our fingers, toes, body gently. Rubbing our hands together, place over our eyes, neck. As you observed your mind, how did you feel? Or what did you observe that was different from when you started? Did you feel more concentrated or more centered, more peaceful, or did you feel more frustrated? A lot of times, again, the main point is always bringing your awareness back, okay? Because that is the idea of concentrative practice, which is what we're doing. They call it chitti vritti. Chitti vritti means the watching or quieting. They call it narodara, to quiet the turnings of the wheels of the mind. The mind is full of samskara, or they so-called impressions on our mind. And vritti is the action of that being brought back to the forefront. That in Buddhism, one of the ground rules of Buddhism is that karma is manifested by causes and conditions. But those karma are some scars, they're imprints in our memory, conscious or subconscious, etc. And that when the causes and conditions, something we see activate that, they come to the forefront and cause either confusion, or if we have mindfulness, if we have concentration, if we have awareness, if we have dhyana, we can be able to see that this is simply a reaction, okay, a turning. And that with that, they call it norodara. They calm it, like calming the waves, by simply acknowledging it, allowing it to be here, but not allowing it to take or overtake the person's mind, which is usually where these samskaras then create another karma. So we, for instance, samskaras can be, they call klesha as well. These are manifested specific experiences that can be good or bad, okay, positive or negative. And for instance, if you taste the ice cream, that is imprint on your mind. And then something, when it brings up something concerning ice cream, or when you're bored or something, where these thoughts just come out based on something that you may not even see the connection with, but your mind, sita, does. It brings it out, this information. And a lot of times, this is where we are unable to see the reality, because we take that impression, which is actually activated usually as a desire, to as a reality. And the concept is that in doing that, we are overshadowing our true nature, the seer. And the seer is a very important, I think, called the drishti, as a seer, or drishta, the one that is observing. That is actually, in Buddhism, what, through all of the different systems and explanations, we come to attempt to come into contact with, to go beyond all of these kind of shadows and conceptions that perhaps are of our karma, or imprints in our minds. And we use, as given to us, the sacred title of Namamyo Horenge Kyo, which in the Yoga Sutras is said that this is the main object of veneration, the main object of concentration. In the Yoga Sutras, just like other traditions, they all have different mantras. In the Yoga Sutra, the main one, that Patanjali, from Ishvara. Ishvara is kind of the Godhead, the main deity. That, not the creator, but the Godhead. And given to the people as the main object of practice, okay, in which one can concentrate one's mind in stillness and be able to, as they say, nirodhara, all of the other samskara and klesha. Okay? So therefore, we use this practice to be able to understand our authentic selves, as we would say, Buddha nature. And again, there are many schools of Buddhism that have discussed the philosophy, have argued with other traditions. Again, very important that we come to realize this, that we don't necessarily, and the Buddha didn't necessarily engage in such, this came later with the Buddhist institution and other institutions defending or challenging each other. For 1500 years, the logicians of the Hindu school, the Nyaya, they debated the Buddhists as to what is the idea of Atman, or soul, when not in the regular soul that we have, but the idea of true self, or the seer. And some schools of Buddhism debated on the idea of emptiness, right? Some debated on the idea of duality of the mind, etc. But it's important that whatever the result is, we don't yet know. And this is, again, another kind of mind fetter, sometimes getting totally immersed in the idea of debate about such metaphysical things that the Buddha, with that concept, as I said, of the poison arrow, that if one simply engages in the concept of the logicians trying to prove some theory, that one misses the opportunity for practice. Okay, so the sutras that we have, the Yoga Sutra, the Makashikan, the Lotus Sutra, okay, these are all method uh, teachings. They're teaching a method, which actually is very difficult because I found myself in the beginning being very opposed to the method. And of course, coming from a modern Western concept, and most of the world now, even the East, is modern, Western thinking, in the idea that through thought only, um, through perhaps trying to understand or even theorize these concepts, these metaphysical concepts, we can find some answer. But in reality, all of the traditions point back, especially as they call the moksha traditions, that is the enlightenment traditions, they all point back to the idea of practice. And our founder, Nichiren Shonin, said it so beautifully. And this is a continuation from all the teachings that come back to this. Without learning and practice, there is no Buddhism. And then this concept of learning, we take it to mean actually learning or memorizing or studying or debating. But the learning and practice is learning how to practice, learning the method of practice. Hence he wrote Kanjin Hontonsho, the true object of veneration. And then for our practice, how to engage in that practice, so that we have to actually practice tapas. Tapas is the austerity of our practice, dedication to our practice. And in many traditions, they believe this happens over many, many lifetimes, you know. So therefore, many people are disappointed that, oh, it takes a while to learn, to practice. I don't like meditation because it makes me uncomfortable, etc. If we are dealing with many lifetimes, okay, of course it's difficult. It's in many traditions. It takes many lifetimes to attain even the basic level of awareness, awakening. But yet, in our teaching, and with the Lotus Sutra, according to the Eternal Buddha, and then our founder Nichiren Shonin, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo contains that and allows us to move forward in this very moment, in this very life, towards liberation, which I know and believe is possible. So let us dedicate ourselves towards liberation. And this means engaging oneself, even though we are lay people or priests or in between, etc., that we engage in tapas, which is austerity. That means one then chooses the austerity, the practice, over the desire, the other matter type of the world, such as we see in the three gunas, which we'll talk about later, the idea of tamas and tapas, right? So that tamas and raja, that the idea of desire and sloth, that's what Nichiren Shonin is warning us about. That we engage in the sattvic practices, and that naturally our minds are therefore compelled to desire, in a way, at first, a kind of positive desire towards enlightenment as our goal, that we choose that over um, desire. So in your practice, if you truly look forward to sitting and practicing, even with all of the difficulties and challenges, you're bringing up that kind of pure nature, right? In Buddhism, we call it bodhicitta, right? The mind of aspiring towards bodhi, towards awakening, right? Um, that is also defined as the idea of faith. That through faith into the degenerate or declining age is the way that one develops bodhicitta. And that faith is that we believe in the Buddha's enlightenment and wish to have that, even at the cost of our life, as it states in the sutra, with all our hearts. So I thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful, enlightened day. And may we come again tomorrow to meet. Thank you.